Good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday, January 5th, coming to you live from Seoul. I'm Kim Mo-kyun. Before we get started, these are the stories we're following at the top of the hour. South Korea reported 715 new COVID-19 cases Tuesday, showing a significant drop from the previous day. As part of efforts to continue the curve of the virus, Prime Minister Chung Se-kyun says authorities hope to vaccinate 60 to 70% of the population by autumn to develop the so-called herd immunity. A South Korean-flagged oil tanker has been seized by Iranian troops in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran state media says the 20 crew members have been detained on suspicion they were polluting the sea with the vessel. And Saudi Arabia reopened its land and sea border to Qatar on Monday, a major step towards ending more than 3 years of blockade. We begin with the COVID-19 situation here in South Korea. The country reported 715 new cases Tuesday, falling significantly from more than 1,000 cases the previous day. Health authorities claim the virus curve has been slowly flattening in recent days, but expressed worries over mass infections among elderly people living in care facilities. Of the new cases on Tuesday, 672 were locally transmitted and 43 were from overseas. There have been 26 more deaths, bringing the death toll to 1,007. South Korea's total number of cases is now nearing the 65,000 mark. Prime Minister Chung Se-kyun says the South Korean government's goal is to vaccinate 60 to 70% of the population by autumn to develop the so-called herd immunity. Speaking during a debate show hosted by local broadcaster MBC on Monday, Chung forecasts that South Korea will be the first country to overcome COVID-19 if everything goes as planned. He noted that over 12,000 additional hospital beds have been secured to deal with a possible medical collapse. Referring to one of the nation's worst cluster outbreak at a correctional facility in southeastern Seoul, Chung pledged that it will never happen again. The U.S. continues to see a record number of COVID-19 patients in hospitals, exceeding 125,000 for the fourth time in 5 days. On the other side of the Atlantic, the U.K. has imposed lockdowns nationwide as it recorded another daily record in terms of infections. Our Lee Seung-jae has more.
With hundreds of thousands of new daily infections being confirmed in the U.S., the country is seeing record-high hospitalization numbers. On Sunday, the country recorded 125,544 COVID-19 hospitalizations, exceeding 125,000 for the fourth time in 5 days. Among them, over 23,000 are in intensive care. This comes as the one-week average of newly reported cases on Saturday was more than 205,000, topping 200,000 for the first time since Christmas holiday week. The two-week average was over 197,000. When the one-week average exceeds the two-week average, it suggests cases are on the rise. Since the start of the pandemic, more than 20.6 million people have been infected in the U.S., with more than 351,000 deaths. In Europe, the UK reported yet another record daily high in infections on Monday, as the country reported 58,784 new cases. It also reported 407 deaths. Amid the continued resurgence in the UK, Prime Minister Boris Johnson has announced a new set of national restrictions similar to the March lockdown. Measures will likely include citizens being told to work from home if possible, and school being closed for most students. With Germany reporting a record number of daily deaths as well as an increase in daily infections, the German government and the 16 federal states have agreed to extend their lockdown for 3 more weeks until January 31st. According to Reuters, all but 2 states supported the extension. Tight restrictions have been in place since December 16, 2020, and was set to end on January 10th, but the measures have proven to have had little effect so far. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
New York has confirmed its very first case of the UK variant of COVID-19. State Governor Andrew Cuomo told reporters Monday that a jewelry shop worker in his 60s tested positive for the highly contagious new strain. 3 other people linked to the store also returned positive results, but it's still unknown if they have the new variant. Brazil has also detected its first 2 cases of the British-linked COVID-19 strain, both in the city of Sao Paulo. The state's health secretary confirmed Monday that a woman in her 20s tested positive after making contact with travelers from Britain. A man in his 30s was also found to be infected with the UK variant. American pharmaceutical company Moderna is increasing its COVID-19 vaccine production this year, raising the minimum number of doses it expects to make by 20% to 600 million. According to the company Monday, it's also working to produce up to 1 billion doses in 2021. Currently, the U.S. is on track to secure 100 million doses of Moderna's vaccine by the end of March and an additional 100 million by June. Moderna agreed last week to supply South Korea with 40 million doses, with deliveries set to begin in May. South Korea's consumption of both tobacco and alcohol hit an all-time high last year amid the COVID-19 pandemic. According to data from Bank of Korea on Tuesday, nearly $4 billion were spent on cigarettes and alcohol in the third quarter of 2020, up 6.2% on year. This is the highest figure since data was first compiled in 1970. The increase is believed to have been triggered by pandemic fatigue and stronger social distancing measures. A South Korean-flagged oil tanker has been taken by Iranian troops in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran state media says the 20 crew members are in detention on suspicion they were polluting the sea with the vessel. The South Korean government is demanding the immediate and safe release of the crew and the tanker. Our Choi Won-jung with the details.
A South Korean oil tanker has been seized by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps in the Persian Gulf. According to Iranian local media on Monday, the South Korean flag vessel that was carrying 20 crew members, including 5 South Korean nationals, 2 Indonesians, 2 Vietnamese, and 11 Myanmarese, was seized reportedly due to chemical pollution caused by the ship.
The tanker was carrying 7,200 tons of ethanol departing from Saudi Arabia, bound for South Korea.
The tanker was on the way to the United Arab Emirates from Saudi Arabia, but was seized and directed to a port city in Iran's southern territory. The Iranian official said that the issue is to be dealt with by judicial officials. Meanwhile, the South Korean Foreign Ministry and Embassy in Iran, in a statement, requested the release of the ship. Seoul's defense ministry is also aware of the incident and has sent the nation's anti-piracy Cheongha unit to waters near the Hormuz Strait to secure the safety of its ships. On Tuesday, the South Korean Navy destroyer Chaeyoung arrived near where the tanker was seized and began its operations. The operators of the oil tanker have denied allegations that the vessel caused water pollution in the area. They added that when Iranian troops contacted the crew members on the ship, there was no evidence of pollution to be found. In the meantime, according to Reuters on Tuesday, the U.S. State Department has also demanded the immediate release of the South Korean tanker. Choi Won-jung, Arirang News.
Iranian authorities announced the country will enrich uranium levels to 20%, up from the current 4.5%. This has sparked immediate criticism from Israel, who said Tehran's latest decision is aimed at developing nuclear weapons. Our Kim Hyo-sun has this report.
Iran says it has increased its uranium enrichment levels to 20%, bringing the country closer to the capacity to produce a nuclear weapon within 6 months. The announcement comes as the International Atomic Energy Agency confirmed that Tehran has begun to ramp up its uranium levels. The country currently enriches its uranium stockpile up to around 4.5%, which is above the 3.67 cap imposed by the 2015 pact with world powers, known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, yet far short of the 90% that is considered weapons grade. While Iran has continued to deny it intends to assemble nuclear weapons, enriched uranium can be used to make reactor fuel as well as nuclear bombs. Israel immediately criticized Tehran's move, saying that the resumption of uranium enrichment is aimed at the development of nuclear weapons. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also warned Iran that its development of nuclear arms will never be tolerated. Meanwhile, the European Union also stressed that if confirmed, Iran's latest move would be a major departure from its previous commitments.
I would say that if this announcement is going to be implemented, the announcement by the Iranian authorities, it would constitute a considerable departure from Iran's nuclear commitments under the JCPOA.
Iran's move is seen as a pressure campaign against the Trump administration, which unilaterally withdrew from the nuclear deal with Iran in 2018, leading to increased tensions between the two countries. The move is also seen as apparent pressure against U.S. President-elect Joe Biden to quickly renegotiate U.S. sanctions against Iran. Kim Hye-sun, Arirang News.
A Qatar and Saudi-led coalition of Gulf neighbors has reached a confidence rebuilding agreement in the region. Brokered by the U.S., the agreement brings an end to years of embargo on Doha by neighboring states. Lee Kyung-eun reports.
Saudi Arabia reopened its land and sea border to Qatar on Monday, a major step towards ending more than 3 years of blockade. The Kuwaiti government, which played a key role in bringing the two together, announced the move.
An agreement has been reached for the reopening of land and sea borders between the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the state of Qatar starting tonight.
It's part of a deal that would ease a political dispute which dates back to mid-2017, when Saudi Arabia and its allies, the UAE, Bahrain, and Egypt, imposed a boycott on Qatar. The quartet accused Doha of allegedly supporting Islamist terrorism and having warm ties with Iran. In exchange for reopening the border, Qatar had been set 13 demands, ranging from closing its state-run Al Jazeera television network, as well as downgrading ties with Iran. The three-point deal also includes Qatar withdrawing lawsuits against its 3 Gulf neighbors and all parties ceasing negative media campaigns against each other. It's especially welcoming news for the U.S., a major broker of the deal. Washington had worried that shattered regional unity could hinder efforts to contain Iran. Senior White House advisor Jared Kushner, along with other officials, would attend the signing ceremony at the annual Gulf Cooperation Council Summit on Tuesday. Lee Kyung-eun, Arirang News.
South Korea's largest automaker, Hyundai Motor Group, is set to establish a hydrogen fuel cell production base in China. This decision comes as the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Energy recently gave the company the green light for hydrogen tech exports. The foreign production base is expected to have a positive impact on South Korea's economy with an increase in exports of domestic components used for manufacturing hydrogen-fueled cars. The company aims to establish the Chinese plant in Guangzhou before the end of the year, expanding its presence in the global hydrogen fuel cell industry. Nodeul, an artificial island in the Han River in Seoul, now has its own moon. 달빛 노을, which means Nodeul under the moonlight, is an art installation shaped like a giant moon and aims to bring out the island's natural and environmental charms. It's made of 2 circular metal structures, each 12 meters in diameter, with 45,000 holes, which help reflect sunlight. It will officially be open to public from February 26th, and on that day, 100 messages expressing hope for the new year will float on the river.
Good morning. It has been cold but fairly bearable so far, but cold Arctic air will blow in this afternoon, and the highs in most parts will feel colder than this morning. And Seoul will only get up to -3 degrees Celsius, but it's going to feel more like -8 degrees. So most parts will notice highs that are 3 to 6 degrees lower than yesterday. In fact, it's Soan today, the 5th winter season term out of 6, meaning one of the coldest days of the season so far. And please get ready for some real harsh weather this week. We could be edging towards the coldest part of the winter, and freezing winds will only make it even more unbearable. Meanwhile, West Coast regions in Jeju will see frequent snowfall this week. So people are urged to prepare for severe winter weather. So here are some very basic tips for keeping safe in the cold. Eating well-balanced meals will help you stay warmer, while caffeinated drinks can cause your body to lose heat faster. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the weather conditions around the world.
And that's a wrap for us at the hour on Arirang News. We'll be back with more of the day's headlines at noon Korea time, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching and goodbye.